This is an absolute steal for the Vancouver Canucks as they select Braeden Coates with pick number 15, as he's regarded as one of the biggest competitors and the best defensive forward coming out of the WHL and the draft. We're going to break down everything on Coates, including his game, quotes from Allvin, quotes from scouts, and so much more. And we're going to break down exactly why this is looking like the steal of the draft later on this episode. Before we get into that, if you haven't hit that sub button yet, we're trying to reach our goal of 8,000 subscribers heading into July 1st. It's completely free to hit it, and we'll keep you up to date on everything to do around the Vancouver Canucks from the draft tonight, the draft tomorrow, going into July 1st. There's no better home than here at Canucks Digest. So go to hit that free subscribe button. But Griffin, we got to hop straight into this today, where we did see Coates was selected by the Vancouver Canucks with pick number 15. Now, there's a lot of mixed reactions, but going and deep diving into this kid shows how good of a player Vancouver just got, to the point where we heard live on broadcast, they even went out to say he looks like a future captain of this team. Now, diving into some reports on him, we do see from Daniel G, and he says elite tools and motor, strong defensive dimensions, and a fearless competitor. Elite at creating space through contact and racks up controlled shifts. This is everything you want out of a kid. One of the, and is the youngest captain in the WHL this year. One of the youngest captains of all time. Everything is pointing towards Coates, looking like a two-way demon. Overall, Griffin, what is your thoughts on Coates joining this team? And do you think the Canucks got the steal at pick number 15?
Absolutely. This was one that I was hoping that we were going to make when we've been covering all these prospects over the past couple of months. This was a guy that was firmly on my radar and one that I was hoping that the Canucks would go out and get. And I was hoping that he would be available out there. I know everybody on social media was saying Victor Eklund. You were as well, and everyone was so hyped about it. But I really think that, like you were saying, once you take a second and think about the pick that they got with this, the production and the growth that he's shown with those seasons in Seattle, being that captain and being that leader, jumping from 35 points to 63 points, a massive jump, very similar to what Anthony Romani was doing in the OHL before the Canucks selected him. And look at the splash that he's ready to make for Vancouver. So I can't wait to see what this guy does. And just like they were saying on air, I definitely think that he has the potential to be a future Canucks captain if they unfortunately do move on from Quinn Hughes when his contract is up. Hopefully they don't, and Coates is able to work his way up to wearing the A. But again, this is a guy that has a lot of leadership value and has a lot of great forward capabilities and a lot of talent. And I can't wait to see what he does with Vancouver and with Abbotsford.
Because the big thing looking at all these prospects, Eklund would have been awesome, a guy that could jump in a year or two. We know a lot of Euro guys jump in, but the development Coates can get over this time, going through once again the WHL, joining Abbotsford, who just won a Calder Cup. Coates is going to develop into a very good 2C on the team, maybe even a 1C if things continue. The big thing is you can teach skill. You can get guys in on the ice, work them to death, get them out there to work on the puck control. But the thing you cannot teach is everything Coates already has. Being a captain, knowing what it takes to lead. Team Canada captain at the U18 World Championship. Everything points in the direction of the Canucks getting a fierce competitor that can lead a team as well. Now, going further into it, and you can look through this is from Elite Prospects. You can pause and read through, but we do see a one-man forechecker. Everyone loves to hear that. Going through with a quick release, quick passes. He does everything, and I think he has future tool wrote all over him. And by that, I mean a guy you can use on the PK and the power play in top line minutes. Everything he can do, he's a Swiss Army knife when it comes to this. Someone that can join this Canucks team, make an impact in 3 to 4 years. When their window opens, this is going to be exactly what you need. Call him a JT Miller light if you want, without, everything else. But getting this guy in could be awesome. And listen, going into it, we've seen Patrik Allvin speak on this. Very excited to have you here in Vancouver. You follow you the whole year. Your character, your ability to drive plays, compete, and your consistency in playing as a right shot center. We believe there's a lot of upside here. Now, he did follow it up with congratulations on returning to the right side of the border, because we do know he was playing in Seattle, but everything points at this being perfect. We know with the Canucks down their prospect rankings, that is ranked number 18 from McKeen's Hockey this year. A lot of these guys are either wingers or defensemen. We have a surplus of defensemen in this team, but I do think with this center, it's going to take maybe even a year, and we're going to see Coates at the top of this list. I don't know, Griffin, looking at this, I know there's a lot of guys here. There's wingers, defensemen. We've seen the Islanders go out and make back-to-back pick with a winger and a defenseman. But is your mind kind of in the thing of the Vancouver Canucks desperately need a center, and I think they just found the center of the future of this team?
100%. I think within a matter of a year or two, he will be jumping into this roster as a full-time member, just filling in as a 2C at worst. I think especially if he's with Manny, with the way that he's been able to develop players, the floor is going to be very low for this guy, or should I say very high as far as the potential. It's going to be a very low floor, and it's going to be a very high ceiling as far as what Manny's going to be able to get out of this kid. Can't wait to see what he does as they go for a second Calder Cup, which would be awesome to see him go back to back. But just going to show at what this Abbotsford prospect pool does. These elite prospects and all these guys can rank at the Canucks at middle of the pack all they want, but they still won the Calder. They still have a lot of guys that are making the jump to the big club next season as permanent roster members, or at least getting twice the amount of opportunities that they got last year. And yet people are wanting to discount our prospect pool. Cool, let them. In a few years from now, they're going to be looking back on it going, wow, we were dead wrong on this, because especially with Braeden Coates and what he can bring, especially with Jonathan Leckерmacki, Tom Willander, and so many other guys, this prospect pool is looking very bright. And it makes me even just as excited as getting Coates as the prospect of just seeing what this Abbotsford club can do further.
And I think the thing is, we're going to see Coots probably return to junior. He's going to get a year or two with Abbotsford. He's going to build up. Maybe he jumps into this roster faster than expected. He has all the skill sets. Everywhere you look, they have this as an A draft pick. But I do think with Coots joining this list, the big thing is we know with the Canucks, they have their future winger of this team, and that is Jonathan Leckерmacki. When looking at defense, you have a long list of DPD, Victor Mancini, and Tom Willander. They finally fill out the center position. Goaltender is Artur Shilovs, and after that Abbotsford run, it does seem like he's almost getting NHL ready. But the big thing is, looking down through the list, they're going into and getting a lot of guys. Josh Bloom, who was a bit of a late bloomer, no pun intended on this, does look great. You can work your way down. Everyone on this list was a huge part of the Abbotsford. Aatu Ratu seems like he's going to make the jump. We've seen Max Sasson and Ty Glover. These guys are all slowly inching closer to closer, making this Canucks team. Griffin, we have more picks. This is the thing. This is the first time the Canucks drafted a Canadian in the first round since Jake Virtanen. I didn't even want to bring that up, but it was a hilarious stat. They finally have a first round pick, second time in the past 5 years. They have a bunch of picks moving through, except for pick 4. Do you see the Canucks continuously building out this center depth, or could you see them kind of going all over the board on the remaining picks?
I think when you look at what the centers that are available, especially this free agency coming up and what are going to be coming up in the next year or so, I think the Canucks saw that, okay, with the options that we have to look at, it's a lot of older guys. We don't want to lock ourselves down to a lot of older guys with term. So we draft younger and develop some guys so that by the time that some of these center contracts that we have, Teddy Bluger is going to be coming up soon. You got Pius Suter, who hopefully they might be able to extend, but it's not looking entirely likely. You still got Conor Garland there, who can rotate on the wing, of course. But within that, you can still have him develop into a solid center and be set with that. You don't have to pay him as much either with all these big names. Yeah, you can bring in a veteran, but he's going to warrant a big price tag. And the Canucks are not in the business of making a lot of massive contract offers because they don't necessarily have the cap space to do it and won't over the next few seasons, especially with Quinn Hughes coming up, because he's going to be one of the highest paid players in the league if they're able to make that offer. So with that, Vancouver is not going to have a ton of disposable income for veteran centers. So I really like them going young here and just really piecing it together and trusting that Manuel Holter will make these guys ready for the big club when they are called up.
Because to kind of piggy back up that, we know the Canucks need to get a center. We know there's question marks around Filip Hronek. We know Pettersson needs to step up. But this gives them the opportunity to go out and pick up a center. Maybe they get someone on a 3 or 4 year deal. You bring him in, and that leads you into the perfect way of when this guy's either heading out or you're fine with moving him down. Coots can step straight into that second line center position. But Canucks fans, what is your thoughts on this draft pick? Because this seems like a home run. This was the perfect pick for the Canucks, getting a center on a team that desperately needs it. Let's be honest here. But go down and leave a comment on this. We're going to cover everything on the draft more, so keep your eye out for that. But I've been your host, Mark, with my co-host, Griffin, and take care, Canucks fans.